United in anger and committed to direct action to end the age.
Less than 12 hours from now, we are going to be taking over City Hall.
Everything I read said I had about 2 years to live, at most. I was on my way to work, and I got handed a flyer about ACT UP and AIDS. My mentor says, if you ask me, I think they all deserve to die because they took it up the butt. I was deeply closeted, and I had to just stew about it for the rest of the day. I got myself to the very next ACT UP meeting. They could just tap into that immediate anger and get stuff done.
We need to get approval on this. The nonviolent and quiet kissing will not leave until an administrator meets with us and tells us that St. Vincent's is willing to make a public statement condemning gay and lesbian violence. All those in favor? All those opposed?
They're coming! You see them right there! You've heard about ACT UP! You've seen our flyers! The kissing happens tonight! ACT UP! Fight back! Make love! ACT UP! Woo! Woo!
I'm here with the camera.
Are you the security guard that was beating people up here?
I'm the camera.
Members of the Main Street media were thrown out as we were earlier on, but Steve Zabel and I came back in and we're bringing you this exclusive footage.
Don't destroy property. You're destroying property, okay?
Well, actually, you damaged some human property last
people. You will not beat up on faggots, and you will not beat up on lesbians in hospitals in our own communities.
2 gay women were beaten up when her lover came to respond. You know the story. And another story was when 2 gay guys came here. One was sick with AIDS. The security guard told them to get the fuck out of here and call them faggots. So I think if you're going to work, especially in Greenwich Village, you should have some sensitivity training, because we're not going to have it.
I'm willing to meet with 3 people if the rest of you leave.
Then play from there.
Okay, one at a time.
It's unclear how to play it. My own instinct would be to say, we'll be glad to meet with you, and when the meeting's over, we'll leave. Not to leave before the meeting takes place.
Right.
We showed the kind of power we can have by immediate action, by sticking together, by reaching consensus together. We should take some steps, and we should be cool-headed.
I'm going to take a straw poll, okay? And we agreed to leave the waiting room while he met with 3 of our representatives, Greg, Jerry, and Neil, in that public space right there. And then we would stick around out here and wait to see what the outcome was.
This isn't a free-for-all. Let's call it a working confrontation. So why don't we start? This is Dr. Anthony Fauci. Perhaps.
I may be wrong, Dr. Fauci, but it's my understanding that thousands of people died from pneumonia because there was no priority within the government or within the medical system as a whole to push the known preventative treatments for a long time. Now, those thousands of people are dead. It would seem to me that someone who was within the government while that took place, as you were, must have on their conscience these deaths.
That is a tough one. No, it really is. It's inexcusable that an academic priority should ever come before the health of the people that you're working with. There's no question about that. But the reality of the situation is there was a great reluctance among the community of everything from the scientists to the Congress saying that what we should be doing is not telling investigators what to do, but we should allow them to do what they feel is the most important. Now that sounds awful when you're putting it in the context of what we're talking about here, but the whole world isn't in this room.
AIDS activists stormed the government's premier disease research center. The National Institutes of Health is where an AIDS cure might be found. It is where therapies are being tested in clinical trials.
No more secret meetings! No more
Demonstrators blocked access to buildings. Scientists and administrators reporting to work stood around looking confused. Activists charged the Bush administration with foot-dragging on AIDS research. It's not the amount of federal money allocated to it, so much as how research priorities are defined.
We need new drugs to keep people alive, but the NIH is only testing old drugs, drugs that we already have.
Can you tell us what you're doing?
Hi, I'm Jim Jensen, and I'm in a clinical trial here. And right now I'm observing and participating in the ACT UP demonstration.
Why? Why do you support this action?
Because we need far more AIDS research. We're just beginning.
What trial are you in?
I'm in interleukin-2 AZT combination study.
Are there any women in your trial?
No, there aren't any women at all.
People of color?
No, there are not.
Why do you think that is?
Just the beginning of the problem.
There are three major things that control NIH research: stupidity, incompetence, and greed. Those are the three major driving forces behind what's going on here and why there are no treatments out there for people living with this disease. In that building down that way, Dr. Anthony Fauci is deciding the research priorities for the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. We're down here because we think we should be deciding the research priorities, because these are the people who know what's going on, because they're dealing with it every day.
I think ACT UP's anger turned in after having been directed out so long. In its first few years, treatment and data pretty much got everything it wanted from the floor of ACT UP. But as treatment and data was becoming more and more technical, there were a lot of people in the general membership of ACT UP that saw that as an elite, and that maybe it would be better if that elite was pulled in a bit.
There was a fear, I think, that we were getting too close to the people in power, that we would compromise our own principles. And the people who were more interested in the social issues became uncomfortable with that.
I remember this very divisive moment where, there was a proposal for a moratorium on meeting with drug companies, and someone for 6 months, and there was a huge and impassioned debate over it, and someone said, a woman who was not HIV positive said, well, it's not like it's for the rest of your life. And For a lot of people in the room, it was the rest of their life.
There were inevitable splits in priorities.
You know it quite well.
I know.
And it was completely left out of the NIH research agenda.
No, I agree.
I remember a lot of dirty tricks that happen and a lot of fear within the organization that the various factions had done this to each other.
Mark Harrington, there's a video camera here now. Would you like to take an oath that you will not write nasty anonymous letters to people who...
I've been getting some hate letters too, but those are unsigned. I don't ever.
So you'll keep on writing nasty letters to people?
There were a lot of charges in the midst of that, of sabotage and threats.
Our last speaker is Larry Kramer.
Why don't you answer the charges?
Bill, you're going to have a chance to talk, all right? Everybody's going to have a chance to talk.
Don't lecture me, you stupid, lazy, incompetent shithead.
Bill, everybody got the flyer. There's going to be a question and answer period.
You can't just lick his ass before he talks. Shut the fuck up and let him answer.
Look, there are a lot of people in the audience who want to ask and talk about treatment, and I think it's important that we allow that to happen.
Oh,
now,
we're going to dictate free speech now?
You're the one who's interfering with speech right now.
I don't have the GMAC or whatever AIDS pimp operation is paying you. You're making the same point George Bush...
Plague! We are in the middle of a fucking plague! And you behave like this! Plague! 40 million infected people is a fucking plague! We are in the worst shape we have ever been in. All those pills we're shoveling down our throats, forget it. ACT UP has been taken over by a lunatic fringe. They can't get together. Nobody agrees with anything. All we can do is field a couple of hundred people at a demonstration. That's not going to make anybody pay attention. Not until we get millions out there. We can't do that. All we do is pick at each other and yell at each other. And I say to you in year 10, the same thing I said to you in 1981 when there were 41 cases. Until we get our acts together, all of us, we are as good as dead.
In the end, the treatment and data guys, Peter Durrance, Mark, and some others split off and formed their own separate organization.
TAG was one of the little mercury balls that flew off the main body of ACT UP. A more sort of think tank type project came about.
Steve H. My friends, David Evans, Nicholas Kaiser, George Marshall, and my beloved brother, Dennis J.
Robert R. Hackett, Philip Gregory Ellison, Terry Ronan,
Michael Bennett,
Donald Red,
Ron Field, Tina Chow, Perry Ellis, Freddie Mercury, Peter Allen, to the thousands of other people who were made to suffer in silence.
Join ACT UP for a political funeral. Meet at the steps of the Capitol at 1 p.m. Give a wake-up call to George Bush and Bill Clinton and Perot.
I think the quilt itself does good stuff and is moving. Still, it's like making something beautiful out of the epidemic. And I felt like doing something like this is a way of showing there's nothing beautiful about it. You know, this is what I'm left with. I've got a box full of ashes and bone chips. You know, there's no beauty in that. And I felt like a statement like this is like saying this is what George Bush has done. You know, this is what him and Ronald Reagan before him have done. These are our loved ones, and this is what they've been reduced to, and we're bringing them to the person who's responsible for their death.